समजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपाः पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्द्रेशमूर्च्छन्दुहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतुष्टुतैतु यद्वाग्वदन्त्यविचेतनानि राष्ट्रीदेवानान्निशसादमन्त्रा चतस्र ऊर्जन्दुदुहे पयागंसि क्व स्विदस्याः परमञ्जगाम अनन्तामन्तादधिनिर्मित महीम् यस्यां देवा अदधुर्भोजनानि एकाक्षरान् द्विपदागं षट्पदाञ्च वाचं देवा उपजीवन्ति विश्वे वाचं देवा उपजीवन्ति विश्वे वाचं गन्धर्वाः पशवो मनुष्याः वाचीमा विश्वा भुवनान्यर्पिता सा नो हवञ्जुषतामिन्द्रपत्नी वागक्षरं प्रथमचारुतस्य वेदानां मातामृतस्य नाभि सा नो जुषाणोपयज्ञमागात् अवन्ती देवी सुहवा मे अस्तु यां ऋषयो मन्त्रकृतो मनीषिणः अन्वैच्छन् देवास्तपसाश्रमेण तान् देवीं वाचगं हविषा यजामहे सा नो दधातु सुकृतस्य लोके हिवाक्परिमिता पदानि तानि विदुर्ब्राह्मणा ये मनीषिणः गुहात्रीणि निहितानिङ्गयन्ति तुरीयं वाचो मनुष्या वदन्ति ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So the third mantra is अनन्तामन्तादधे निर्मितां महीं यस्यां देवा अदधुर्भोजनानि एकाक्षरान् द्विपदागं षट्पदाञ्च वाचं देवा उपजीवन्ति विश्वे. Until that it is the next mantra. Anantam antat adhi nirmitam mahim. So what is this quality of this Vak? Quality of Vak Devi, the goddess of speech. She is Anantam. That means she is, first of all, infinite. You cannot fathom who she is. Likewise, in speech also there is one Ananta. That means which is beginningless and endless. So what is that Ananta? That is infinite speech. Infinite speech has to have two qualities. Number one is it must be only realized in your heart, it is not heard. Why? Because as soon as you hear something, it has got to be received in segments, isn't it? And therefore it must be unheard by the physical means of hearing. So it can only be unbroken realization can happen only in your own heart, in your meditation, or in beyond the phenomenal world. Then only it can be Anantam. So therefore, Anantam means what? One is it must be infinite. In other words, you cannot actually make it into pieces. So it must be one continuous walk. And then, in other words, it must be aparichinnam. If you want to look at the Sanskrit translation, aparichinnam, that which cannot be broken into parts. So now you can connect this to the concept of the Atman. So what is the nature of the Atman? The nature of the Atman is nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. So none of the elements will be able to change the composition. So therefore this apara Vak, this great Ananta Vak, is unarticulated Vak, also known as Shabda Brahma, the primeval Vak. See, the consistency of Vedic thought and the Vedantic thought you will see in pretty much every mantra. So if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, or if you look at the Upanishads, they are the reformatting or writing commentary on the original Vedic concept, Vedic word only. So Ananta, that's why it is actually an exposition on Veda. That is whether it is the Vedantic works or whether it is Bhagavad Gita, they are all exposition on the original Vedic thought. So therefore Anantam. Because again, whether you come to Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishad, what is the mode of communication? It is speech, isn't it? And through speech we have to convey that which is transcends speech, which is beyond speech. And where is the source we have? Because that is infinite source of speech, which we use in everyday conversation at transactional level, in conversations in bhakti, where you are showing devotion to your Ishta Devata, or in the contemplation on the highest philosophy of Atman Brahman. Everything has to be done through words only, isn't it? But where is the origin of those words? The origin of those words which we go on using without any end, because new words constantly are formatted, new words are constantly coming into our conversation. How many new words have come? One of the greatest tasks for the English dictionaries, especially Oxford English Dictionary, is they will be scanning the entire world as to what is becoming popular. Any word that becomes popular and is used for a few years enters into the dictionary. So then that means it is an infinite expansion of our words. So therefore the origin has to be infinite, and therefore Anantam. And every word that we listen to, we hear, or we create, every word, it must have a basis, because it cannot exist without a foundation. And what is that Adi? What is it on which it is standing? It is standing on Mahim. Mahim means that Vak Devi who is worshipful. Mahim means worshipful. That's why we use the word Mahima. Mahima means immeasurably worshipful. Bhagavanta's Mahima means what? Immeasurably worshipfully. You cannot finish. However, for however length of time, in however beautiful words you worship, it is not exhaustive. But at the same time, every utterance of your devotion is complete in itself. So that's the dichotomy of prayer. It is inexhaustible, but at the same time, the word is complete. So therefore, this Shabda Brahma or primeval Vak, Antat Adhi, that means it is the basis of the finite also. Only the infinite can be the basis of the finite. So the infinite worshipful Mahim Anantam, that Vagdevi is the basis for Nirmitam Antam. That means constructed finite words in everyday conversation. So everyday finite conversation or writing in a various modes of communication where you use word is actually based upon the most worshipful Vagdevi, who is herself infinite. That's how we have got to understand this mantra. So this primeval Vak, which has not yet manifested in the limited world, in a limited way, how does she express herself? Shatpadam, in 6 ways or in 6 steps. Pada means step. In 6 steps she manifests herself, that is in Swara, Vyanjana, Pada, Linga, Vibhakti, Vachana. Any language you take, first of all there should be vowels and Swara. There will be consonants, there will be Vyanjana, and they should combine to form words, Pada. Then it should have a gender, Linga. It should have a number, Vachana, and it should have the various cases, therefore Linga. So you Vibhakti. So you can also look at these in the sense of grammar. You can also look at these in the sense of the Shatchakras, that is the primordial sound, which is Ananta. That sound is actually Shabda Brahma. That is Omkara, which is the Om, which is pervading the entire universe constantly, all the time, is first of all felt in your Mooladhara Chakra. And as the Kundalini is raised, this Paravak, in the Mooladhara Chakra, what is the kind of speech that is there? It is Paravak. Paravak means the transcendental sound. Transcendental sound is the unuttered Om. And that unuttered Om, the transcendental sound, as the Kundalini gets awakened, it starts from the Mooladhara Chakra and takes the successive steps. The successive steps being Manipura, Anahata, etc. So you can also view the movement of the sound from the infinite silence to the actual articulation, the Vaikhari, is also the 6 steps. Then, so before creating, so we had to pass through the reason. What is the necessity to speak? What is the necessity for words? Why should there be any word, any sound uttered at all? It is because as soon as the world gets created, for getting the world created, there must be a sound, a big bang has to take place. That big bang is called Ekakshara, the one sound. Eka Akshara. Akshara means letter. Eka means one. The one letter, which is Om, gets manifested from the infinite, and that causes the creation of the universe. In fact, somebody had done, maybe it's clever device by which they started trapping the primordial sound that came at the time of Big Bang, and it sounds like Om. But that is what the Shastra also says. The Om was the Ekakshara, was the cause for the creation of the world. So this Ekaksharam Dvipadagam, that means it became 2. What is this 2? For as soon as you want to identify an object, first of all the object must have form. And as soon as you see form, you will give it a name. And name and form are inseparable. If you utter a name, then immediately the listener will actually associate it with a form. Suppose you say cow. The word cow will give you the picture of the entity, the cow. Suppose you show a cow, an object, then immediately you will put a word to that and say this is the cow. So nama or name and rupa form become inseparable. And therefore this Mahim Devi, this most worshipful exalted Devi, who is infinite, becomes the substratum for the finite. And that finite is expressed as one akshara, ekakshara, and which will morph into the construction of a name and form, and this name and form is communicated through these 6 steps. Shatpadancha. So this is how this mantra is talking about the creation of the manifest universe called Murta Prapancha, and then which characteristic is Nama Rupatmakam, that means characteristic is name and form based, and has to be communicated by means of the 6 devices, which is swara, that is vowels, consonants, words, etc. And then, so what is the sage trying to tell us? She is telling us that the infinite entity called Vagdevi is outside of the gamut of all speech, and also is the basis of all speech that is happening in the creation. In other words, this is another mantra which is like Antarbahishcha tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitah. Look at the consistency. Every sukta, every mantra, every section of the Veda you study, there is no contradiction. Antarbahishcha tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitah. What is it that inheres in everything that is manifest and also transcended? And the word is infinite, and that is Anantam. Because finitude must be a subset of the infinite, and therefore must be in the finite and also transcend the finite to become infinite. And this Shabda Brahma, and therefore, hence, we have made a case for this Vagdevi to be worshipful. Mahim. Otherwise, you will come and question, otherwise we build a religion otherwise, isn't it? You don't bring spirituality. If you want to build spirituality, you must also give the yukti or the logic behind it. And therefore, this Vagdevi is Mahim. And what is the origin of this speech which is articulated? Ekaksharam. Ekaksharam is the one syllable. The one syllable is called Akaraha. A is the first letter. Because you open your mouth, what happens? Don't worry about Sanskrit. If you want to speak, you have to open your mouth. The moment you open your mouth, what is the sound that comes out? A. Akaro Vishnu Vachakaha. A represents Vishnu, the preserver, because A also comes from the root Avati, protects. Avarakshane is the Pani Sutra. Avati protects, or Atati. Atati means Satatyena Tishtati is the parsing. That means permanently exists. Satata means unbroken. Satatya means unbrokenly. It's an adjectival form. Tishtati remains. So what is this Devi, this Mahim Devi? She permanently exists as the first syllable and hence protects everything. If your protector is not with you all the time, how can you be confident about protection? If your security system is switched on, every moment the security system must become alert. Otherwise, you cannot call it as a security system. So the security system for us is this Devi, worshipful Devi, Mahim Devi. Realize that she is all the time here with us, protecting and supporting. That's why they say Akaro Vishnu Ruddishtaha Ukarastu Maheshwaraha Makarastu Smrta Brahma Pranavastu Trayatmika. And the same thing Krishna also picks up in the 10th chapter of the Gita, Aksharanam Akarosmi. You have to connect all of them from every scripture. You have to connect Aksharanam Akarosmi. So what is the purport of this phrase Anantam Antad Adhinirmitam Mahim? Vagdevi is worshipful since she is the infinite Shabda Brahma who manifests from within herself, because there is no two. From within herself, the classified sounds that define the Nama Rupatmaka Prapancha, that is the world of names and forms. That's the meaning of this first mantra. So, traditionally they also say two aksharas are Vaidika Shabda and Laukika Shabda. That means those words which are used in ritualistic worship, which is Vaidika, and in transactional, which is Laukika. And that also becomes important because Samskrita is refined language. Then there are Apabramsha, Paishachi, etc., which are slang, and for that also you have got to provide. And therefore, two aksharas means that aksharas which are used in refined language and also in colloquial languages. So both of them we can be taken as coming from the same Devi. So then the next thing is Yasyam Deva Adadur Bhojanani. So this verse, which is a derivative of this infinite Vakdevi, is used, for what purpose it is used? So that we can be nourished. Words are required for nourishment, isn't it? How do we make a living? As a matter of fact, the whole universe makes a living on words only, isn't it? Because words have the ability not only to communicate ideas, to develop ideas, but also to motivate action. Suppose I ask you, would you please bring that pen? It's only words, isn't it? It's only an utterance of words. But don't you see it translates into an action that you will go and bring it. And therefore, what are the powers of the words? The power of the word is it is capable of making an object work. This idea is extremely important, please note, because lot of people are concerned, or they don't understand that if we say a prayer to Ishvara, to the Lord, if we say a prayer, how can Ishvara give us what we request, what we ask? Simple answer. Suppose I tell you, can you please give me your pen? Don't you give? The same thing, suppose we say, hey, oh Lord, please give me wisdom. Does it not inspire Ishvara also to react? Very, very critical point we have got to understand. That is what this mantra is conveying to you by saying, Yasyam Devaha Adaduhu. By which verse the gods actually enjoyed our prayer. They ate our prayer. It comes from adu means adubhakshane, to eat. What is it that the gods eat? Our prayers. And our prayers are the motivator for gods to give. So how do we do this? By using words like swaha. When you use the word Indraya swaha, Agnaye swaha, means ho Agni, I am making a well articulated sushtu aha, properly said. I am using a properly worded request to you. Please bless me with this. So they eat your words, and then they will give you what you have asked. Just as another human being will actually give you when you ask for something in the right spirit. Samskrita Vani, when Samskrita Vani is there, when you ask somebody with the proper humility, whatever you ask, you will get. And that with yajna, through the yajna, when you say swaha, then your word is carried. So what is the one who carries your word to the Devata? Havyavahana. That is Agni who carries your words. Don't think he is carrying your ghee. Your ghee is burnt there. He carries your words because it is Swaha. And that's why Swadha Pitrubhyaha. So for the Pitrus, you create a special Agni, and that who is the carrier of your prayer to the mains, to the forefathers? They are called Kavyavahana. One is Havyavahana, another is Kavyavahana. So they carry that, and then Havya, it means oblation to gods. Kavya means oblation to the mains, and ritualistically they are done in different Agnis. So what is it of its use in our everyday life? In everyday life, even if it is somebody, your own husband, your own wife, your own children, this mantra is conveying to us, you must use a well-articulated swahakara to feed. So this happens very commonly. I'm sure all of you know. People invite us for a party. They will say, come and eat lunch. And then they will put the spread on the table. And then nobody, especially the householder, will never ask anybody, please have dinner, please eat. Unfortunately, everybody is, because they are invited, they will just go and eat. But the thing is, in assemblies of gods and their sages, unless you tell them to eat, they will not touch. This you can see even in some of our elders who have studied all these Veda mantras. They will not eat unless you tell them, please have food. That's why in our culture, we have brought a tradition that when the food is to be announced, they always chanted a shloka. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, 2 more complicated shlokas also, depending on the family. And then that is the swahakara, that is the amrita vak or divya vak by which you invite people to come to the table. In fact, in this culture I have also seen they invite us and the host will be the first one to eat. So all those things are indirectly not approved in these Veda mantras. So we used to use we used to say a prayer, Gayatri Mantra, said something, and then we say Sarvatra Subhojyamastu, may everybody have a good meal. So the mantra establishes that rule, and then so the instruction of this 4 4 phrases is what is that? It is an introduction to speak such words by which all living beings, all the forefathers, Pitrudevatas, and all the divine entities, the Devatas, are all nourished. And therefore, Agaduhu Bhojanani Yasyam, by which quality of the words Devatas eat. So such nourishment is possible only when we utter words from the depth of our being. And that is why we talked about the all the chakras. From the depth of your heart it should come, and when the words come from the depth of your heart, the commentators Sayanacharya and others say that such words illumine Dyava Prithvi. It illumines the entire space from the earth to the sky. A flash comes. Isn't it so? Haven't you felt like that when you hear certain mantras or certain concepts? When they say that Tattvamasi, when such words are spoken, Vidyatadadati atho vidyatadadati, when you listen to Kenopanishad, Satyameva jayate nanratam, from earth to the heavens, it sends a flash of lightning. And this originates in the Ekakshara, and then it is born out of Sabda Brahma, Omkara. Therefore, whenever we speak with Om, then what happens? Omite Brahma Prasauti, Omityadharya Pratigaram Pratigranati, Omitedagam Sarvam, Omityagnihotramanujanati. Taittiriya Upanishad takes this thread and gives you a commentary on this mantra.